And I'm joined now in the studio by Lieutenant Colonel Golan Landsberg, the IDF reserve officer who leads coordination efforts with INSARAG, that UN body. Colonel Landsberg, thanks for joining us.
Sure. Happy to be here.
Pleasure. So why did it take all this time when other countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, with far less experience, to say the least, were admitted for membership some years ago?
Yeah, so first for us, joining the INSARAG community was not an obligation, or it wasn't a necessity to send delegation abroad. So we would act as a government to government and still provide humanitarian aid.
Which you have done all over the world, exactly. Nepal and Philippines.
Exactly, yeah. So, and in a way, it took us a while to get ourselves prepared, but also consider the implications of joining the international community in that matter. So it took a while, but we made it eventually.
All right. Well, now you've been designated also with a heavy lifting category, this heavy urban search.
Yeah.
So what does that really mean? And can you tell us about the certification tests that took place late last month?
Sure. So heavy team, the meaning of heavy team is the ability to provide search and rescue help or assistance to a designated country, and by doing that without becoming a burden to the country that you're providing the aid for. So you need to be able to sustain yourself for 10 days, 24/7 in 2 remote sites, and provide aid to the population, but also to yourself. So in terms of food, water, and communication, yeah. So you need to provide all of that.
Right.
And in a way, this is what defines heavy team. And in the last month or so, we were tested on this ability to be able to provide all the things that I just mentioned.
Which should have been a walk in the park for you, as you've demonstrated your ability to do that.
Well, actually, it wasn't
around the world.
Yeah, it wasn't as easy because this is a kind of a strict standard that you are being tested for each one of the capacity that you need to provide, and you need to prove via SOPs, standard operation procedures, but also in action that you can actually provide that. You need to purify the water, but you also need to provide medical aid and also to do your search and rescue operations.
All right. Now, Israel is part of this Europe, Africa, Middle East geographic area. Yeah. What does that mean? That now you will be asked only in this region, in that area, to contribute your expertise, or will you be going to other hotspots, like we mentioned, Nepal, the Philippines?
Yeah. So the segmentation in geographics is mostly for creating some local aid or support between the local countries, but it doesn't prevent you from providing help or assistance outside of this geographic. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your comrades, fellow member countries in this geographic area. It's Algeria, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, I believe. So do you expect this is another way for Israel to strengthen its cooperation with these silent partners in the Gulf?
Yeah. Well, I don't know to speak in particular about Gulf countries or any other countries, but for sure, coming together around humanitarian aid as a main purpose make the communication much easier and better common denominator for us to share ideas and technologies, and it's a kind of a binding element.
It will be, actually, this might be the first opportunity for IDF operational forces to be in contact.
It might be, when we kind of meet all team leaders for all teams around the world, there's no actual barriers to, talk about how you do better.
Well, very good. Now, the INSARAG Director General talked about how it's not only the member countries that they're focusing on with the technology and the expertise that they hope to cultivate, but also those vulnerable nations on the front lines, repeatedly victims of earthquake and what have you. Iran is one of those countries on the front lines that has suffered from disasters. Is there any realistic scenario where you and your team would be working in Iran?
Well, this is not really up to me to answer that, but I would say that Israel as a country will always provide or will offer humanitarian aid, and eventually the bilateral relations between the countries will set the actual assistance that will be provided.
In fact, there was a disaster in Iran this past year, and I believe Israel even offered.
Might be. I wasn't aware of it.
Above your pay grade.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, this is an opportunity now for you to tell our viewers what added value the IDF First Responder Unit brings to the table.
Well, I think we have superb experience in real-time action. We were deployed in many occasions or different type of disasters, starting from earthquake, hurricanes, and other man-made disasters like building collapse, etc.
Right.
So I think we bring to the table our operational capacity, our ability to act, and proven to be lifesaver team. So.
Was there any personal experience that you can remember when you were at hotspots around the globe? Maybe other nations coming to the IDF to make a phone call, a satellite phone call?
Yeah, for sure. I have half a dozen examples of on-the-ground cooperation, the ability to assist other teams, whether they are coming to our main camp and get some assistance, or actually on-the-ground cooperation to rescue someone, to borrow tools, to borrow capacity that one team might need.